In this section, I want to talk about the new render region option. This is a great option when you're dealing with a high level of detail images and you don't want to do that full final render yet. You want to look at a smaller area, maybe how the light transitions in corners, maybe a decal image that you've placed on the component that you're dealing with, or maybe even some of the lighting effects. In our options, we have options for the quality of our preview, also options for the quality of our final render. What we can do is a small render region, move this region around to look at smaller areas. For instance, if we want to look at the button, maybe the LED, we can take a small render of just this region. Now, this applies to both our preview window and our final render. So when we do a final render, it's going to be looking at just the small render region area. As you can see, when this comes out, we have a full resolution final render based on our settings of just the region we selected. So this is great not only for looking at the final rendered image, but also to take a look at our quality settings. And we can see that we have a lot of soft lighting effects in this scene. So this might tell us that we want to go back and maybe change the scene that we're working with. Maybe something like a beige would give us a better option for our final color output. So again, it'll go through our preview render, and then it'll go into the final render of just that small region. Now we can see the beige gives us a better contrast between our component and the surrounding environment. But maybe that still doesn't give us the look that we want. Again, we can go back, take a look at maybe a blue background, do that final render, and take a look at the scene in this light. If we were going to try to do the full resolution final render for the entire component, this would take a lot more time rather than just a few seconds of back and forth. So now we have a pretty good idea of what we're looking at. We can turn off render region and we can go after a final high quality render. So that way we saved a little bit of time in doing the setup work and looking at rendering the entire scene, especially the cotton material that we use for the speaker cloth, because the detail on that material with the pattern and the bump and all the extra additional lighting effects based on that material take a lot of processing time that we really don't need to spend when we just want to look at something like the interaction between the material color and the background that we've chosen. And now that we have looked at the smaller area, we were able to pick a more appropriate background without going through the process of doing a complete final render with an inappropriate background and wasting a lot of time having to go through that process. The final render took quite a bit more time than doing a render region on the preview, basically because we have a lot more background, which doesn't take a whole lot of time, but we have a lot of detail and lighting effects, reflections, and things that happen on our plastic material, and also the detail, the bump map, and the pattern for our cotton material. All the lighting effects and all the information that goes into processing that take a bit more time. But now we have a full high quality image that we can zoom in, move around, and take a look at the detail that we got for our final image. And we didn't waste any time using a poor background choice.